coming out are Azir and Warwick, so not really any surprises there. Those are both incredibly strong champions in the higher levels of play and the lower levels of play at the moment on 4.20, which is a patch this tournament's on. Obviously the preseason patch brought a lot of changes through, and with those changes, Warwick suddenly became a god with the new jungling items, the ability to get that Skirmisher Saber and Devourer enchant, and when you use that Infinite Duress, just proc so many different on-hit effects doing tons and tons of damage.
Yeah, and especially with the Blade of the Ruined King thrown in there as well, you get the on-hit from that as well, so just the sheer damage you can do in like a 1 second burst with you smite them, you use your ultimate Infinite Duress and just melt their health bar, and especially if you've got some team nearby, they don't stand a chance.
That is very true. The only real way of dealing with it is to buy yourself that Quicksilver Sash, or to have some teammate crowd control work for you. But, neither of those things is always readily available, so he's very strong, especially when he comes straight out the jungle at level 6 and jumps on someone's face. Looking at some of the other bands coming up here, we've got Thresh, Gnar, Zed, and Jace. And these, again, are all very reasonable bans that you'd expect to see. Gnar has been so dominant in the top lane since he basically arrived in competitive play right after Worlds, which was when he was enabled. And Jace, also at Worlds, became very dominant in the mid lane, so I'm not too surprised to see that banned out either. First pick being Irelia makes a lot of sense, with Gnar out of it. She's definitely one of the strongest top laners left in the pool.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, Irelia, even against Gnar as well, she's one of the most difficult top laners to deal with. And I mean, what would you recommend them picking into Irelia? Because there's not many champions that beat her in lane at the minute.
I think the problem with Irelia is that you can potentially win out if you get an early gank on her or something like that, but it's only for a small period of time. Once she gets to around level 9 and gets some components of her Trinity Force finished, even if she's like a kill down, maybe 10 CS down, she's still going to turn around and kill you because she got so much damage. And when she actually finishes that Triforce, then she is a huge force to be reckoned with in the mid-game. So, picking a lane into her is very difficult. There are things that you can do, but none of them are really great. So I'm not expecting to see that top lane pick up for a while, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them just go for something that complements their team composition, rather than trying to beat someone in lane who's just so difficult to beat in lane. We are going to see Nami and Pantheon being the next pickups coming out of Dark Passage in their first rotation. Nami is a very strong support at the moment. She has so much disengage, and in a pinch, Tidal Wave can be used for engagement. It's a little bit harder to land because the enemy has more of a chance to react to it and back away, but very strong disengage champion. Decent in lane as well, provides a lot of utility and sustain to your AD carry in that bottom lane. And Pantheon, of course, one of the utmost ganking heroes in the current meta. Grand Skyfall is so good at level 6, but even before that, he can come out the jungle at level 2 after finishing his red buff or his blue buff, jump on someone, stun them, spear down, lots and lots of damage coming out of him. Also, one interesting thing that happens 4.20 is that his shield passive actually lets him solo Dragon as early as level 2 or 3, because the attack speed of Dragon is so much lower that you get your shield proc up most every attack. You can take almost no damage from it. So that's something that sample techs are going to have to be very aware of. Make sure they get early wards down on that to make sure that Crystal can't take that.
Yeah, with the Pantheon pick, you can actually take literally 0 damage from it if you, at level 3, if you time it correctly, you can, after your W shield and you get another shield, you can delay an auto attack till immediately after the dragon attacks you, and then you'll be able to attack enough times to bring up another shield. So at level 3 you can do it without taking any damage. Obviously it has to be played perfectly, but that is obviously a strategy that will be open to Dark Passage this game, and we'll see if sample text are aware of this and have the vision coverage of that dragon area around that sort of 3-4 minute mark.
Yeah, and I expect they will be able to have that, especially seeing as they've picked up Lee Sin for their jungler. He's very easily able to clear quite quickly without too much risk. He's got good sustain, and then he can, with relative safety, go to that dragon and put down a ward. So that's going to be nice for sample text. Looking at some of the other picks coming out now, we've got Corki and Cinder that we haven't touched on yet, as well as Leona being the final pick for sample text. And their team composition in this mid-game is actually very, very scary. Corki and Irelia both hit a power spike as soon as they reach their Trinity Force. And when you've got a Leona to complement that by going in, providing some hard engage, getting that sunlight passive onto people and giving them even more damage, in these mid-game team fights, sample text are going to be extremely scary. We're looking at Ahri and Lucian being the next two guaranteed picks coming out of Dark Passage, and maybe a Jax actually in that top lane. It hasn't been locked in yet, but that would be an interesting one. Malphite makes a bit more sense. He's more synergetic with the rest of the characters that they've picked. If they went for Jax, they wouldn't have quite as sturdy a front line, and he'd obviously struggle against Syndra a little bit more than Malphite would in those later stages of the game. But looking at these team compositions, Munch, what do you think? I mean, do you think either side has a clear edge compositionally?
I don't know, it's a tricky one to say. I do really like the sample text team composition. I mean, it's a very aggressive early to mid-game strategy that they're going to have to really snowball, and if they don't manage to get that snowball rolling, they're going to start to struggle once they get later on in the game. However, on Dark Passage's side, they do have a Pantheon on the team who will start to fall off towards the late game as well, so it could... to be honest, team composition-wise, I would have to give the advantage over to sample text.
Well, certainly if they play it right, they can abuse that mid-game spike I was talking about and cause a lot of problems for Dark Passage. But if Dark Passage can get some good ganks off with the Pantheon in the early game, they can potentially transition into a stage where they can deal with the mid-game power spike and then proceed a bit later on where actually Malphite is going to become very difficult to kill, Ahri can burst someone, and Lucian can just kite around and do some damage. So I think they don't have the strongest of late games, but they can fight toe-to-toe in the late game. They just need to be very careful of the initial power spike as soon as Trinity Forces are picked up on the side of Sample Text. However, Sample Text do not have a slouch of a late game either. It's relatively strong. You've got a lot of damage coming out of Syndra and Corki, and obviously they have a decent front line in Leona and Irelia, and Irelia is going to be very good at diving the back line of Dark Passage. So I actually really like both these team compositions. I think it's going to be a very exciting game. All of the lanes look to be good. And I think we're going to head into a music break in a second.
Yeah, I would have to say, just before we go into that music break, bot lane I would feel is definitely going to be the lane to watch this game with a Leona in there versus a Nami. If Leona can play it well and land those Zenith Blades, Nami obviously not having an escape could be very volatile. But you'll have to join us after this short break. We'll be heading onto the Summoner's Rift to see who can take Game 1 of Sample versus Dark Passage. Don't go anywhere. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Black Monster Cup. We're in the quarterfinals between Dark Passage and Sample Text. My name is Munchables, and of course, casting with me is Sigilus if you've just joined us. Dark Passage are going to be our red team, and Sample Text are going to be our blue team. How are you doing, Sigilus?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to see what happens in this game. We did join a little bit delayed, but basically all that was missed was a few deep wards being placed in the bottom jungle on the side of Sample Text. Dark Passage ran in as 5 in order to place those. So they're going to have some vision on the red buff early on, as well as the Krugs. They're trying to identify whether or not the bottom lane of Sample Text are actually going for that Krug start, which is something that we've seen a lot coming out of, top-level players in this 4.20 patch. It harks back to Season 2 when golems used to actually spawn at 155 and the bot lane would take that in order to get an advantage. This game, they are going for that, but the bottom lane of Dark Passage is not. So they're going to be an experience lead, although there will be some health, done the way of Sample Text bot lane. So they can potentially abuse that. Most likely, though, they're going to have to play a little bit more passively than they otherwise would in order to deal with that experience lead and the early level 2 coming out of Sample Text. Naru in the mid lane is actually getting hit by a ton of harassment straight away, so she is off to a not very good start in that middle lane. Does have a health potion ticking and 1 in the bank, but Syndra has actually taken those utility masteries, picked up 2 biscuits, and she's going to be able to sustain arguably a little bit better when it comes to poking down Naru.
Yeah, and I mean, having to burn a health pot this early in the lane is pretty detrimental, especially versus someone like a Syndra who can really capitalize on you falling behind. Syndra, one of the biggest mid lane bullies in the entire game. If Naru's not careful, he may end up falling a little bit too far behind and start to fall behind in CS as well. But up in the top lane as well, we're just seeing a little bit of trading back and forth. Shikava, being very aggressive onto this Malphite. Needs to be careful not to use too much mana just going into a shield though.
That is very true, and actually, a week or two ago, in one of the other games of the Black Monster Cup, we saw this matchup where Elwin was on Malphite playing against Irelia, and he did really, really well. So, he clearly knows this matchup very well. He's doing a good job of keeping up in CS right now, and actually, mid lane, Naru put a lot of trade back on Sebix there. That was a really nice job by him to keep the damage a little bit even. Both of the biscuits are now gone, so neither of them have any more regeneration items. And actually, the mana is very low on Sebek, so Naru doing a really good job to come back from that early deficit. We'll have to see if he can snowball it even further. Bot lane, Phosphorus Bombs are doing a really good job of landing. Pa is doing a really nice job of landing them onto Padden, keeping him quite low, but actually Dark Passage, considering they had a deficit in experience coming off of that Krug camp, they've done a really nice job of keeping up. They actually hit their level 2 very early by shoving so that they couldn't be abused by that. At the moment, Crystal, currently in the jungle, might get spotted out by Kanzi-san here, but he is going to be able to get away and just walk away safely from that. Here we go bot, though.
Yeah, we're going to see the all-in the bot lane. That's the Ignite ticking down onto Velistraza. He's going to get one last auto attack. Is it going to be enough? No, the exhaust saves his life. Now, Padden is going to try and get the counter kill. Pantheon is arriving, though. Padden does get stunned up now, but this is Leona on her own in a 3v1 situation. Crystal Meth trying to do what he can, but there's the flash coming out. The W not going to be available to stun up, and that's going to be a 1-for-0 in the bot lane.
That was a very nice bait by Velistraza. Knew that Pantheon was close enough to come if they did go for the fight. And actually, she, at the end there, right when Corki was going to go for the last auto attack, started using one of her spells in order to make him think that something was coming out when it wasn't.
Shikava
so Corki
could be in trouble in this top lane, though. Very, very low. Malphite bullying away there. Actually using Blade Surge very aggressively while low HP there. Nearly going down.
Unfortunately, Elwin couldn't really follow up on that, even though he had Flash, because the Flash was also available from Ishikawa. He decided that it would be better to keep his Flash in case there's a gank coming his way, rather than burning it, just to make sure that Ishikawa didn't have hers available. So, arguable whether or not, burning it and burning hers was a better option or not, but I think likely this is a better option, as Lee Sin could be quite a threat to Elwin's Malphite later on. Ishikawa did have to use a teleport to get back to that lane to make sure that he could keep farming, and Elwin's doing a good job of not pushing out this wave too fast, so he's not losing too much to it. He can keep harassing Ishikawa for now, rather than Ishikawa just getting that free wave after the teleport back into lane. So Elwin's doing a really nice job up in that top lane. He doesn't have any more bottle charges, so he's not going to be able to sustain quite as well as Ishikawa can. And actually, he's taking a lot of damage here, needs to be careful.
He's in a good spot, though, because he can just kite back through those minions for the trade. And actually, Shikava is going to take so much damage from those caster minions. So as you saw there, despite Shikava attacking Elwind a lot more times than he fought back, they actually traded evenly.
Yeah, that was really interesting decision-making from Ishikawa to take that much minion damage. Now when Elwin teleports into lane, he is going to be definitively ahead, both in terms of the items he has to regenerate with, and just the base health that he comes into the lane with. Mid lane, though, Lee Sin is looking for this gank on Naru. She is 6, is going to have that Spirit Rush available, and so he decides to back off there. He actually might be going for that Hungry Crab at the moment, which is not the name of it. It's called the Rift Scuttler, that's the one. Pantheon now, he is walking towards that bottom lane, isn't going to be seen out. There's a lot of ward coverage for Dark Passage deep there, but as he goes back into the river, he will be spotted out now by that River Bush ward that came out of sample text.
Yeah, so, I mean, really good vision coverage from both teams at the minute, but we are going to see a little bit of aggression here. They're pushing in towards this bird camp and trying to bully away the blue team, but it looks like Lee Sin may get caught out. Crystal Meth looking to go aggressive. The Sonic Wave does land onto him, but both teams deciding to back away from this, so neither of them wanting to give up a fight right now with Dragon available.
It is a little bit risky, and actually top lane, Elwind is doing such a good job of pushing out Ishikawa because purely that minion trade went so badly for her earlier. If we look at the regeneration, Elwind still has 2 flask charges and 2 health potions. Ishikawa has nothing, so he needs to be very careful not to overcommit to any trades. Pantheon has been hovering around this Dragonair for a very long time. I think he wants to go for the solo, but he might not be aware that there's a ward in the back of the Dragon Pit coming out of sample text. Needs to be careful not to go for that. Blue buff is up now, though. He's going to secure that for Naru, and actually Sebek's having to go back due to the fact that Kanzi-san isn't in position to give him over that blue buff quite yet. So Naru's doing a really nice job in that mid lane. They are even on CS, but having secured that earlier blue and being able to go to lane straight away does mean that she's going to be able to shove out and probably deny a few CS to Sebek's now.
Yeah, and Naru on the Ari. Ari's more than capable of shoving out those waves. When you get a couple of levels in that Orb of Deception, get some AP behind you, you can basically clear out the minion waves in one ability. So definitely a champion that's happy to push Syndra under the tower. And I would expect both these teams to start to try and get some pressure on towards this Dragon Pit area, neither of them having too much vision. I really like the deep wards that Dark Passage have put around the back of the Dragon Pit, however. It's going to give them a lot of control of the area. I would expect Sample Text to be trying to get some vision coverage herself.
Yeah, they definitely need to. The danger for them at the moment is that with those deep wards from Dark Passage, if they move up to try and put a ward down, they could be collapsed on. This would be the time to do it. They might not realize it, but because Naru's back in base, if they wanted to go try and put some deep wards down, or not even deep, but just middle of the road wards down in either the river or the Dragon Pit area, whilst Naru's not around, would be the time to do it. It stops him from coming in with that Spirit Rush and trying to collapse onto them as a ward. But they didn't decide to go for it. Lee Sin is just going to be taking out his red buff now. And Pantheon, he is 6 now. He's got that Grand Skyfall. He might decide to do something in that bot lane, especially because Sampletex has actually just started pushing that out. There's a Phosphorus Bomb. This might be a good opportunity for that gank to come in.
Yeah, definitely. And we are going to see Crystal Meth heading around this bottom lane area. He's in that back tri-brush. The man drop is available. We could see a Pantheon gank coming through in this bot lane. He definitely looks like he wants to, but he's just going to head over towards that Gromp for now. But I'm pretty sure he's going to have his camera over that bottom lane just looking for his opportunity.
This is really interesting, actually. The ward coverage in that bottom area pretty much just reversed. As soon as Pantheon walked away from the dragon area, we saw a pink getting put down in the bush by red, coming out of Sample Text, also that ward by their tri-bush to make sure that they don't get ganked from behind. There's one in the back of the Dragon Pit too, and now there's only... Oh, Elwind actually taking a lot of damage now that there's a Sheen.
We're gonna... I thought we were gonna see an all-in there. Decided to back away in the end, but the damage from the Sheen and the Transcendent Blades combo, you can just use one stack of the ultimate, then Sheen, then one stack of the ultimate, then Sheen, and just combo that 4 times, and it does so much damage.
Yeah, it does. Sheen does have a little bit of an internal cooldown, so you have to stagger your Transcendent Blades, but that can actually prove to be useful because it means that you can position them a bit more carefully, maybe maximize the fact that they hit minions as well as a champion, that kind of thing. So it is a very good combo. It's one of the reasons why Irelia goes for that Trinity Force, and she's actually doing a really good job at the moment. 96 CS at almost 11 minutes is slightly better than average, and she's also out-CSing her opponent Elwind by 20 at the moment. So she's doing a really solid job, well on her way to that Trinity Force, which is when she's going to be able to start teleporting around and making plays.
Yeah, and just going to be heading into the enemy jungle right now, clearing away some vision. Getting rid of that pink ward is going to be quite nice for them. It's going to mean that they can get a little bit of deep vision in there. We're going to see Malphite throwing a ward towards that red buff. I would expect... We are seeing Irelia head back to base right now. Teleport is available again. We could even see Shikava just walk down towards this dragon area, then TP top. Actually, no, she is just going to head towards the top lane by foot and use that teleport if a dragon fight kicks off.
Looking like they wanted to go on Kanzi-san there, but not quite able to get there in time. They're going to take out this Riverbush ward, though Naru has not been spotted out yet, but he cannot go to the bot lane right now because that Vision Shrine is actually on the side of Sample Text, or sorry, it's on the side of Dark Passage, so she would be able to go down to that bottom lane if she wanted to with the speed boost, but not deciding to do it because of the way the wave's pushed at the moment. Both junglers haven't really been making any aggressive plays yet. You can see they both went for the Ranger's Trailblazer item, one of 4 new jungle items in 4.20. It's very much a farm-oriented jungle item. It gives you an AoE smite, lets you clear camps quicker, gives you some health regeneration when you do smite. And on one hand, being able to clear camps faster means that you can gank more frequently, but on the other hand, the Skirmisher Saber, for example, gives you so much additional damage when you do go for the ganks. So they're definitely deciding that they want to be a little bit more passive. Top lane, Elwind is starting to fall behind because he hasn't taken a lead over Ishikawa yet.
Oh, bot lane. Big trade in the bot lane there. Whoa. There's the Solar Flare, but it's not going to be in time. Lucian picks up the kill nicely. Little play there by Padden, and now we're going to see an all-in in the top lane. Ishikawa saying he doesn't want that, wants to answer for that, but not going to happen, unfortunately. And a nice pickup from Dark Passage, and they may head towards the dragon.
Yeah, it's very likely that they would, although they're thinking that they can maybe catch someone here. Unfortunately, there's a ward in their side bush. I believe Pantheon has spotted that out with his sweeping lens, so he's going to be able to clear it out. Then they'll probably either go for the dragon or back up to that blue buff which just spawned to give Naru that as soon as possible. They are pinging out the dragon, though. They're going to go for it. And, you know, in 4.20, some of you guys might not be aware of this, but actually, they've changed the way that Dragon works. You don't get gold for killing it anymore. You actually get a stacking buff from 1 to 5. Each stack provides a different boost. The first one being 8% attack damage and ability power. So obviously, that gives you a lot of additional killing power in your lane.
Yeah, and I mean, the 8% attack damage and ability power, it's not absolutely huge this early in the game, but it's one of those, I mean, it's a permanent buff for the rest of the game, so that 8% is just going to continue to scale up and up and up, and it could give that 8% could be the difference between the next dragon kill and snowballing that into that 5 dragon mega buff that you can get.
Yeah, look at Pantheon right now. He's actually deciding to sit in this river bush for a very long time. Thus now the wave started pushing out a little bit. And I think he wants to go for the Grand Skyfall because at the moment, if you look at what his team's doing, they are applying enough pressure that he actually... Oh, I see what they're doing. Velistraz is trying to bait in actually, but not going to go for it. So Pantheon has decided to back out. Crystal's going to try and go somewhere else. He looks like he actually might be trying to take out this ward in the dragon pit. I'm not sure if he spotted it out there. Yes, it looks like he did use a sweeping lens on that. So he's using the Grand Skyfall.
Here it comes, the Grand Skyfall, but the flash comes out from Sebx. There's the ultimate. The ignite is going to be enough now. Naru managing to get the counter kill. Actually, Elwin picking that one up with the unstoppable force, but now the counter gank coming in from Konzi-san. This is going to be Elwin. Kick by a beautiful flash kick. Comes on to Naru. He's taken so low. Transcendent Blades is going to be enough to pick that up. In the meantime, we have a fight in the bot lane, but there's going to be a pause. Padden looking like he's going to be in a bit of trouble here, but the bubble has just landed onto Paw.
What a crazy time for a pause. You know, last time this happened, we actually took bets on if the person would die. So do you want to take bets on whether Padden would die? People in the chat can maybe vote for yes or no.
Yeah, but hashtag Padden win or hashtag Paw win. But I feel like despite his health right now, Padden has the advantage in this fight just because Paw is still up on that bubble, and the exhaust is available for Velistraza right now. So if that exhaust comes down immediately after this pause, I feel like Lucian Nami does have the advantage here.
I reckon there's a good chance that they could turn it around. There is a reconnection now, so we're probably going to be heading back into this in a second. Looking at this mid lane as well, I don't think Elwin's going to be able to turn around and do anything here. Naru having fallen means that it's too difficult for him to turn around and actually pick something up. He doesn't have that unstoppable force available to him. At the moment, the players are just talking about the fact that there's a DC. There's a ready call coming out, so we're about to get back into this, Munch.
Yeah, we should be heading straight back into this. 5 seconds on the clock. We'll head straight back into this bottom lane fight, and we're going to see Padden getting locked up by the stun. There's the ignite ticking away. We're going to see the jump forwards. There's that exhaust I was talking about.
Oh, there's a TP!
Going to be able to walk away. Here comes the TP from Elwin. He's going to get the slow onto Paw. Can Paw escape this one? No, he can't. The ground slam going to pick that one up. Now, Lee Sin tries to get the Q, but a beautiful block by Velistraza there. Konzi-san is going to be the target. He goes down as well. And a 5-for-2 now score in favor of Dark Passage.
That was a really nice play by them. The teleport from Elwind was not something that Sample Text actually expected, considering that he was kind of low from that fight in the middle. He didn't have his unstoppable force. But unfortunately, because Pa and Grom decided to commit a little bit too much to killing Padden, they were too far up the lane to back away in time. And at the end there, of course, Velistraza did an excellent block on the Sonic Strike coming out of Lee Sin. His Q was blocked out there, so really nice job. Oh man, that was an excellent play by Cinder, just taking away the crab so Crystal couldn't pick it up. But that has resulted in a dragon as well now, so in addition to being 1.3k ahead, Dark Passage also had that first stack of the dragon buff.
Yeah, so really nice by them to pick that one up, and it's going to give them a slight advantage. The gold not too far in their favor just yet, about 1,000 gold ahead, but obviously the buff that they get from that dragon is worth more than just gold, so we'll have to see if they're able to use that to their advantage. Syndra just missing out on the stun there, slightly out of range onto Naru, but we'll have to see. What do you feel like the next objective for these two teams right now is?
I think we could potentially see either the bottom tower being focused or the top tower. In fact, we could even see the middle tower. Here's the reason behind all of these things. So firstly, in the bottom lane, there's very few summoners available to everyone. At the moment, for the side of Dark Passage, we've got Flash available on Belistraza, Heal available on Padden. So if their jungler comes to gank, if Crystal comes down, they can engage, but they can't really disengage. Similarly, Kanzi-san could come in and go for them. There's no exhaust available. He could pick something up. It's very likely that we're going to see one of the junglers go for that. Grand Skyfall is available now if he wants to go in. Middle lane, same deal. There's no teleports available in the top lane, so no one's going to be able to come down and back them up if they decide to go for a push. And actually, Padden is starting to put down a lot of pressure as Crystal walks in. Naru's also coming down. It looks like bottom tower is definitely the objective that Dark Passage wants to go for. Top lane, they are just slapping each other with some wet fish. Not doing too much, but yeah, here's the back away from Sample Tech's bot lane. Does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, seeing that that's coming and just backing away, but that is going to potentially secure them this bot lane tower if they push for it. He's not auto-attacking that right now. Obviously doesn't want to push it too quickly. They're trying to bait them into staying so that Pantheon can come in with the man drop.
If he can land it, it would be very good. There's not much mana available on Paw, so he's going to be able to Valkyrie away only if he doesn't spam rockets to clear this wave, which obviously he wants to do because he wants to save that tower.
That's his mana gone.
But Lee Sin is here now, so Kanzi-san can potentially back him up. Naru has come back to the mid lane in order to push out, obviously. Oh, he's actually going in!
Oh, the charm lands in the mid lane. That's going to be six going down. Naru with a really nice aggressive play in that mid lane. Going to just about survive that ignite, and just really nice pick by him.
Sebek's just evaporated there. There's so much damage coming out of Naru. She has finished that Deathfire's Grasp, which obviously, in conjunction with the charm, amplifies her magic damage by such a large amount that, you know, even that Athene's Unholy Grail isn't really going to be able to save Sebek's in that situation. So really nice job by Naru to pick up that kill. Whenever you can pick up a kill solo like that, it means a lot, because it means everyone else on your team is still doing useful things and didn't have to commit time to it. Bot lane, Padden and Belistraza likely going to take this tower in a second, although actually I don't think they realize that Phosphorus Bomb is going to clear it that well, so they might have to back up for a little while here, wait a few more waves, buying some time from Sample Text to try and maybe bring someone down to the bottom lane, get a kill, and then shove up to the lane themselves. Blue buff at the moment being picked up by Dark Passage's Naru. That's going to be really useful, especially considering he just got that kill. He should be able to use that blue buff in order to snowball his advantage a little more. Oh, bot lane Veli.
Oof, the bubble just going to miss out there, the Valkyrie. Nicely timed there from Paul. He's going to be able to dodge out from that danger. And we see in the mid lane, Naru clearing out these wards. He's had to clear wards there about 5 times now so far this game. Keeps on trying to roam downwards, but not having much success in that field just yet. But while we're in a bit of a reprieve from action, we'll take a look across the board right now. We've got Lucian, 3-0-1 right now. Already has his Infinity Edge, has 2 long swords as well as his boots.
Kanzi-san!
Kanzi-san might die to the Crom! Uh-oh. A bit of a broken shard there. Kanzi-san not having the best time in this new jungle and getting punished by these bigger monsters. And not too good for him, but as I always say, 3-0-1 on Lucian. He's looking incredibly strong. It's going to be that Infinity Edge versus the Triforce here in this bot lane, and realistically, that's still a fairly even fight despite the gold deficit.
Ooh, Syndra needs to be careful here as well. I don't think he realizes that Crystal is there, but thankfully he's going to take the safe route back to his lane. Crystal able to steal that away. Very nicely done there. Although he did use his smite for that, and Dragon is up within the minute, so I think he's likely going to have it in time. Yeah, it does look like he's going to have it in time. Thankfully for him, although he's not going to be able to steal away anything else whilst that cooldown is down. Lee Sin now coming to the spot lane through the lane. It looks like they want to try and get something on Belistraza.
Ooh, beautiful flash from Belistraza there. A nice bubble as well. Gonna lock up Lee Sin. There's a triple tidal wave, and they're going to completely negate the engage. But here comes the Grand Skyfall. Locks up Grom. He's on the front line. Gets taken down by the shard, and a beautiful ultimate coming out from Malphite. And now the teleport comes down from Aurelia, but it's not in time. She's on her own. She's going to get a kill, though. Padden gets taken down. Now we see Naru going very aggressive. There's the DFG. Picks up another kill. The charm just missing out. But that's going to be a bot lane tower and a dragon for Dark Passage.
Dark Passage are really timing their aggression very, very nicely. They knew that because the tower in the bot lane was so low, if Sample Text didn't bring a third member to that bot lane, it was going to fall in the next wave. They knew that the gank was coming. They knew that they could counter gank it with Elwyn's teleport and the Grand Skyfall from Crystal, and they came in at the perfect time to counter that. Really, really nice play there, really nice awareness of exactly what Sample Text were going to try and do. They made a perfect read, and now they're getting a dragon, a tower, and kills out of that. They're snowballing their lead very rapidly forward, and that's exactly what you need to do when you've got someone like a Pantheon on your team. He falls off pretty significantly in the late game, and in fact, he's actually going for a fairly tanky build. He knows that it's already a bit too late for him to be at his optimum efficiency for going damage. So he's going for that tanky build. He knows that he needs to be able to provide something more than just damage in the late game.
Yeah, and I really like that pickup from him. And obviously Pantheon is a champion that drops off.
Ooh, Naru.
Actually, Naru in a lot of trouble. There's the solar flag. Gonna get the stun despite that. There's the follow-up stun from Syndra. The ignite goes down, and that's a nice pickup. Really good play by Grom to just completely lock up Naru and donate that kill over to Sebex.
They might be able to translate this into that mid lane tower. Crystal is there, but doesn't have Grand Skyfall available. It's kind of hard for him to engage into a Syndra who can just scatter the weak Q back. Elwyn does not have teleport, and at the moment, Padden is having to take a very long route to that middle lane because he's so afraid of the jungle. Velastraza, though, might get engaged on here.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is a fight Shikava wants, though. There are a few of them there. Velastraza going very aggressive, getting the slowdown, but the reinforcements are here. Crystal Meth has to flash away. Really nice tidal wave across the whole team. Shikava on this front line gets crit down, manages to flash away at the last second. That's going to be Paul going down. Now Grom on this front line gets taken very low. He goes down as well. Another kill across onto Padden. Now Sebex gets slowed by Elwyn. Gets the scout of the week, but a beautiful flash is going to dodge that out from Elwyn, but a nice dragon range. Gonna completely negate that follow-up, but another 2 kills coming across from Dark Passage.
This is exactly what I mean by Dark Passage reading what their opponents are doing so very well. Elwyn did not have teleport, and could not know for certain that Irelia was going to try and make that play, but they assumed that because they were a man down in Naru, they were going to try and make an aggressive play because they're behind and need to make something happen, and he went all the way from top lane down to that bottom jungle in order to turn around with a well-timed unstoppable force. Really, really nice play there by Elwyn, and really amazing communication coming out of Dark Passage overall this game. Kanzi-san doesn't realize Crystal's here.
Yeah, Crystal managing to get the stun. The scat of the week is going to go back across. Nice little ebb and flow, going to keep Crystal Meth's health bar nice and high, but nothing coming of that in the end. Both teams decided to back away from that one.
Yeah, it was a nice Q over the wall to get to safety, ironically by dashing to Crystal there from Kanzi-san. Top lane though, Ishikawa has that Triforce. He can actually do a lot of damage to Elwyn here if he's not careful. Oh, Naru though!
Yeah, we're going to see Naru going aggressive again. That kill goes onto Crystal Meth, and now he's coming in onto Shikava as the spear doesn't have the stun available just yet, but it looks like he wants to dive this one. Blocking that one out. Now Naru actually getting stunned up under this tower, but Shikava gets ignited. He goes down. Elwyn picking that kill up. All 5 members up in this top lane for Dark Passage, and this is going to be another tower for them. But in the meantime, Corki picking up a tower in the mid lane.
There isn't really enough coordination coming out of Sample Text right now. Their members are all spread out. You know, right there they had 1 member in the lane, 1 member in the river near the lane, 1 member in the mid lane, and 2 members in the jungle. When you're against a team that's going to be trying to pick you as much as Dark Passages are, you have to stay grouped together so if you get engaged on and ambushed, you can help each other out and not die to it. You know, if you've got a Malphite, a Pantheon, you know, even the Nami pickup, but primarily the Ahri, what that composition is good at is finding someone, crowd controlling them, and killing them very quickly. That's extremely easy to do if you're by yourself and they find you, but it's very much harder to do that if you're grouped up with your team and you have someone to help you out. Grom, for example, here might get caught.
Yeah, Grom could be in a lot of trouble. There's the bubble. It does land, followed up by the charm, but the Mandrop comes in onto Sebex. There's the unstoppable force. Crystal Meth picking up that kill with a spear. Now Grom still surviving, but he's going to go down. The solar flare comes out, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. Dark Passage looking so strong and just getting pick after pick after pick right now.
It's not even as if there isn't wards coming out from Sample Text. If you look at that bot lane, they've got a nice curve of wards showing both the river, their jungle, and the dragon pit. You look top, they can see the river very nicely. Oh, hang on.
Beautiful charm DFG coming out onto 4. Naru just doing absolute work for his team right now. picks up another kill. And the red buff actually on Pattern picks up the kill onto Konzi-san as well. So this could in fact be an inhibitor tower going down.
I mean, they're likely going to lose this top lane tower, but at this point I really don't think they care that much. Getting the middle inhibitor will give them so much ability to run around in the jungle that an already strong pick composition becomes multitude stronger after you take that middle lane inhibitor. It gives you so much ability to move around and get picks. Bot lane, like you were just saying, is also being pushed out right now. Elwind is stopping Ishikawa from getting to his team. He can't really afford to use his teleport right now, or he might get stopped. And now another tower gonna fall for Dark Passage. They are just on a tear right now. Can they even be stopped?
I don't know, but it's gonna be a difficult one. I really feel like Sampletech's need to be honest, at this stage, if I was in Sampletech's shoes, I'd be trying to think of what they can do better next game to get back into the series, because in all honesty, 4 kills across the entire team, they are looking hurt, and right now, they need to stay in their base and just lick their wounds.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely got the potential to also act as a bit of a pick composition, like Dark Passage. If Leona Solar Flares someone, followed up by a Syndra Stun, and her ultimate, which is called Unleashed Power, they can do a lot of damage very quickly, and they can CC someone for a long time. The problem is that they're just constantly getting engaged on, and they're never walking around as groups. They're just allowing themselves to be picked off one by one, and then they can't form a cohesive team to try and defend any objectives. Dragon has just spawned. If Dark Passage get it, it'll be their 3rd buff, which is very potent. It gives you 5% move speed. That is extremely useful for getting more and more picks.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they've been doing. They are going to get that 5% movement speed, and where do you think Dark Passage go from here? How do they continue to snowball this lead?
They could either try and set up a trap by the dragon or teleport in like this.
Yeah, we're going to see the man drop coming through. The solar flare is going to lock Elwind up, and it doesn't matter. Pattern picking that kill up onto Sevex, and looks like they want to push the mid lane. They might be trying to
There's
end
a
the game.
surrender vote, actually.
There's a surrender, in fact. Good game. Dark Passage picking up game 1 of our series, trying to get the final kill onto Poor at the end there, but an incredibly convincing victory for Dark Passage.